Washington and Oregon, of course.
These are pictures Ali sent from Cali with the orange sky.
The orange sky, can you imagine?
Right.
And people wonder why I ain't going back to California till I get ready. How old as I am, I die of smoke inhalation or something, you know what I mean? But look, the poor governor, he was saying something like, basically these, I'm paraphrasing, these deniers of, environmental deniers or something.
Climate change.
Climate change deniers.
Right.
He's right in the middle of it. And this, can you imagine how it feels to be a governor, how helpless it is, and nothing you can do. The fires are swooping through there, and remember now, these tornado fires are growing. Like the first one was a car fire, maybe 1 or 2 years ago. Last year, where there's a tornado within the fire tornado. That means that boy is swirling around and burning. You see those houses? Fires didn't used to burn like they burn. When they burn through, they knocks everything out. It's like a bombing, a big bombing of a city. And he's the governor. Hey man, it's like he was almost wanting to cry on TV. It was that sad. You know what I mean? And he was mad at the people. How can you deny this, man? What is wrong with y'all? Okay, now look at the world. China's a big country that has super floods, then it has some droughts. In Africa, they've been had floods and droughts. Floods in one place and droughts in another. In America, floods, droughts. Another hurricane just blowing up, be in New Orleans next couple more hours or something. Hey man, and it ain't that warm water, right? Just makes them 10 times as big. Okay, what politician is saying anything about that? That we got to stop right now. We ain't talking about stop and don't have no contact with each other. Just no. We're saying we have to put a freeze on life right now. Because everything we do is making it worse. Can you imagine? The more fire they have, the more smoke go up in there, the more greenhouse effect it have, and the more, right? And the more we drive the cars, the more. The more meat we eat. Can you imagine the methane put out by them cows? I don't know if they have any out here, but on the West Coast they have whole big giant feedlots. You can smell them for miles. Only thing on the feedlots is cows, and they feed them, they fatten them up. And they just lay there, and you could smell them for miles. And methane. The more meat you eat, why don't they go on a 1 week meat eating something other? I don't know what. But you're gonna have meat every day, like the old days? Because when somebody asks you, what you having today, that means, what's the meat? You having fish, you having beef, you having lamb, right? They don't ask you, what's the veggie you having today, right? The meal is the meat, right? And all other stuff is extra. That's the way people think. Hey man, what we gonna have today, right? Everybody thinks like that. There comes a time when that's it. You know, you have to say to yourself, you have to say to the world, how many politicians even talking like that? I mean, and do you know, this reads like like the end of time, not the, but the end of an era. You know what I mean? Like all the stuff we done read about, the crash of the Roman Empire, the fall of Pompeii, and all of that stuff. This is it. We're living in it. And everybody cruising right along. I said, man, they was cruising the same thing. But that's a trip though, right?
Yeah.
That's really a trip to say, hey man, this is it. And then there is a little feeling, I can see how the governor is coming from, because we have to develop the ability. That's what we have to do. We can't depend on, we have to develop the ability to do significant things about this and to join with other people who are doing significant things. That's just what we have to do. That's what we was technically raised for. You know, and then that's a part of when you listen to the Chinese and he's having an award ceremony. The way they got it, China is they gave us the thing and then they done hooked themselves up to some crooked trick, right? And that's the way people believe, right? They believe, yeah, well, China did it. And then they fix themselves up. The award ceremony is when he's talking about, he's giving a praise and clarification to the people for success of the program. So he's outlining how they do it. So anybody that can later on listen to it. I was going to do it today, but that's an hour and 14 minutes. It's too long. How they moving toward this moderately prosperous society? What kind of characteristics did it take for the workers, the medical people? And he's given awards to all of these people for the job that they did. So what you see is, in one of them they said, he called the people, he said the people that was born in the late 90s and early 2000s, they, talking about them people, they took care of us, talking about the older people. They took care of us this time because during the other thing that they had, he said we took care of them. Now they're talking about Chinese politics and the Communist Party. And they said those people were angels. You know, talking about the people that, you gotta remember, they got 1.23 billion people and they hardly nobody. That's insane, right? I forget the number, it ain't, whatever it is, it ain't nothing. Chinese did, you know, it's because of what they did. These people here, and they say, they hinted, those people who are moaning and groaning and talking out the side of their mouth, because you didn't handle your stuff right. And everybody sees that. The U.S., you're jealous and stupid. To sit in this trap, you done fell into it. Instead of cooperating with the Chinese, you're whining and it ain't gonna work. Because nobody's ever able to stop the up and comer, right? Imagine the champion, no matter how many challenges he get, he defended the championship for a while, but pretty soon he gotta go. Because he get older. There's a time when the Chinese gonna get off base, they're gonna miss it. They've been here 4,000 years, see, they've been through this so many times. It's just like us. They're like us. Iran, China, they've been there 4,000 or 5,000, they've been there 4,000 years, all of them. Because you read about Persia, that Persia, you know, that's, shoot. they took the people out of Jerusalem in 589 BC. 3,000 years. So they, you know, they was capturing people by then. But anyway, the point is that other people have been through this before. And they have learned, in a way, they're like us. We've been through this before. We know the signs. Hey man, those are the signs. Okay. Since they won't do anything about it, then we're called to live up to our own expectations. In other words, we have to develop our own expectations of ourselves. They have to evolve, they have to improve. We can't depend on them. They're not doing it. They're just not talking about it. They don't care. You know, and see, inertia, if you're in the car riding along and you hit on the brakes, you know, I don't know how many people before seatbelts used to wind up before the front window. When we was younger, before seatbelts, when we would be driving, and the first thing you do when you hit the brakes, you would throw out your arm. So the kids, you know what I mean? You throw out your arm, I don't care who, you just throw out your arm. Right? Because off they go, you know. That means inertia, the body inside keeps moving. Just because the outside of it, that means the earth is headed in a certain direction. We can go past the point of no return, or not no return. The earth will always rebalance itself, but we want her to do it like pretty quick, because we don't want the thing to burn up and go, you know, yeah, in a million years it'll fix itself. It don't kick no difference what we do. It'll rot everything out, it'll do the whole show again, it'll clean and purify, and it'll adopt, bring things along that can live in that environment after a million years. But, you know, who wants to disappear, voluntarily disappear, right? Or become 4,000 or 5,000 human beings left, and they living with gas masks on and stuff like dumb stuff. That's not necessary. That's not necessary. The earth we're living in is not necessary. And the world we live in is not necessary. We have opportunity, we have a responsibility to fix this, to adjust this, right? To rearrange the human affairs so that we can leave the earth alone to cleanse and purify itself. That's our job. Okay. So for right here, it's just simple. There's 2 points that always was related to Dr. King, was mobilization and organization. All those other groups could mobilize people. They'd be down there for, they're doing it now. They mobilize, they can mobilize, they can have 50,000 people out there now, just like that. Remember, we had 500,000 people down there, remember? They mobilized, but they weren't organized. And there's a difference. Real substantial movement comes out of organization, not mobilization. Okay. Comprehensive thinkers. Well, as the Chinese were saying, they worked for this. They said nobody parachuted out of the sky. You know, they use the word angels again. No angels parachuted out of the sky to do this. What they're saying is they're congratulating the people on this job that y'all just did. They're saying this is big. He's telling it, the premier of China, and they know it's true because they're living it.
Right, yeah.
They're saying this is epic, man. What y'all just did, remember, This thing is killing everybody else. We're the biggest country in the world. We put locks on it, and don't say that they didn't know, because Don said, yeah, I was talking with the Premier of China, right, remember?
Yep.
What'd you talk about? Well, we talked about the virus. Let's talk on February the 7th. So he can't say he didn't know. They totally mishandled everything. All of Europe handled it bad, but America gets the mishandlization prize. Right? And the Chinese, the Koreans, right? Even the Japanese sprinkle a little. You can see it's going to be the Asian century because they, go ahead.
It almost seems like just, you talk about the long march.
Yeah.
It's in their DNA,
It's in their DNA.
to come through and deal with those situations,
Right, yeah.
because their last thing was epic, that they had to deal with, or it seems like it.
Yeah.
So each one of them, it's almost like, they're kind of being rewarded for their struggle.
Yeah.
That's just how I've been looking
Yeah,
at
they
it.
just used to, heroism. They kind of get, just overcoming impossible odds.
Right.
No, Chinese, you see the Chinese, the martial arts, hundreds of
Right.
all that stuff. They've been doing it all their life.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're like Germans, people that we were ignoring democracy. Germans ain't jumping up and down about democracy. They like Germans, Russians, those people, they like a strong leadership. They just like it. That's the way they are. Right. They're not like the people over here talking about, they taught these people how to be stupid like that. Just go and be an individual. Yeah, they needed that when they need you to run across the Oregon Trail and develop kill all the Indians. That's what they needed then. Individualism.
Right.
But all the other people have been around thousands of years, and they don't know. Hey man, the most powerful thing on earth is human interaction with each other. No matter how much money you have, if you have poor interactions, right, then that's bad. If, for instance, you're married, you like your wife like you, and certain things are going wrong, you don't want to eat, you go to sleep, and you wake up, you want to go to sleep, right?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
and the
it
money
is like-
you have, you got money, and you got a house, you got all of that stuff. But it's because you're human. That's what other people know. That's why they come here with family, and they come with all of that. Everybody knows it. It's in their genes. Koreans come here and we got to work together. Why? 5,000 years of history to prove it, right? Come from India, China, all of that, those people know. They done taught us that dumb individualism. It's not individualism, it's human relations. I heard of something the other day. They used to talk about survival of the fittest, and they did some new studies, and it's not the survival of the fittest, it's the goodest or the best of something. In other words, the way the world is now, you need to cooperate with people, and people that learn how to cooperate with each other survive. And the ones that didn't, they didn't survive. Right? But now in that group, when they tussle with each other for a little, who's gonna have all the girls, okay, that's so that the first shot go after the strongest bull or the strongest ram. You know what I mean? To keep the one that's powerful. And he's powerful for a while, and then pretty soon he just get old and he got, so man, you gotta go, right? But that's for the perpetuation. That's a natural, the human being is not like that. Because the human being There's a little bit of that. But the human being, the tribe takes care of the old people. They don't let them drop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The old tribal societies honor everybody. Technically they worship their ancestors. So the older you got, right, the more honor you got. Over here it's the difference. The older you get, you're too old. The kids will tell you, my dear children, they said, Dad, you got down with it. That is not, they figure there's a few little words you don't know from it. And they think, well, maybe you don't know anything. This is the only place in the world that the young people know everything. And they perpetuate it on TV and everything. The youth, it used to be the youth. The youth know everything. Well, the youth don't know everything. Technically, they don't know nothing. They barely can tie their shoe because they haven't had no experience. And if you don't have tough experiences, you're not going to learn much. Anyway, let me try to... they talk about all the health kits that they was congratulating the police, the army, the first responders, for going out and doing what they did, their employees, volunteers. And so he would say, we respect you and we thank you. And in organizations, they was doing research and development. And he was talking about how much we've learned from this right here. Then he even talked about overseas kits that they sent to overseas Chinese. You got to remember, not overseas Chinese, you got to remember who controls the economy in Indonesia. That's the biggest Muslim country. What's the second biggest? Malaysia. How many Chinamen there? Full of Chinamen. They have in Malaysia, and they probably have it in Indonesia, they have affirmative actions for Malays. All the Malay students was here, they came on affirmative action. And they're most of the population. Why? Because the Chinese own everything. They all close together. China, a big country, like China and India, always send people. People just get up and go, okay. So, no, it's unbelievable that they were thanking all of these people. And when you hear them, when y'all hear what he's talking about,